What's up, YouTube? It's Full Ass Speaks back for another one, man. This here is just me. I decided to chime in on this recent video that Stephen A. Smith did on his podcast concerning AJ Brown, and the reason is I'm noticing, and I'm trying to find a way. I'm thinking of the best way to address a number of people right now. It's just madness going on right now. The type of 180s people do, the type of 360s. It's pretty ridiculous to me right now that you got Eagle content creators who the whole time we're focusing on the main thing. Really, we're seeing AJ Brown's what he's doing for the disruption that it is, and then all of a sudden now flipping. So what I'm finding out is, you got content creators that AJ Brown, he's like getting in touch with content creators and stuff like that. And then those content creators are flipping their position and all of that. And look, I don't know how many people will see this right now. I'm still building up my Eagles thing because I kind of do a little bit too much here. But I'm going to speak to everybody through this, all right? So let's go.
Unfiltered. I'm sorry, unapologetic. I'm not trying to talk about him. Unlike anyone else. But knowing y'all will probably make me. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least, or actually every weekday from 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over the airwaves of Sirius XM, Mad Dog Sports Radio. The number to call up as always is 888 Mad Dog 6. That's 888 Mad Dog 6. That's 888-623-3646. And of course, if you want to send in your voicemail messages or what have you, you could always go to SiriusXM.com/get serious to send in your voicemail messages. Again, SiriusXM.com/get serious. We got a jam-packed show coming your way today. Lots of stuff to get into, and I'm going to get right started because I think the number one story that I need to talk to you all about involves A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, for those of you who don't know, he hasn't been having the greatest year. He and Jalen Hurts only connected on 48% of the targets when they've targeted him. That's down from 62% last year. He's only got a little over 400 yards receiving on the season. He has not been happy with the way things have been unfolding in the city of brotherly love playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. And my personal opinion is that he's done everything but say trade me. Now, obviously, he's not saying that right now because the trading deadline has come and it has gone. And as a result, he's with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you're looking at the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, knowing what he brings to the table, knowing what he means to them. His mentality is that, look, man, and this is the only thing to peel from this. What we doing ain't going to get it done. What we doing ain't going to win the NFC. What we doing ain't going to be good enough to beat the Lions in the playoffs. It ain't going to be good enough to beat the Packers in the playoffs. It ain't going to be good enough to beat Seattle or Los Angeles or maybe even Tampa in the playoffs. We're going to have a problem. That's what he's saying. We can slice it any way we want to. That's what A.J. Brown is saying. And I understand that he made some news because anytime this dude passes gas, you understand, everybody wants to hear what the hell he has to say.
All right, so now all of a sudden, AJ Brown is this sympathetic figure. This is the way we're gonna go with it. The cynic in me is like so close to feeling as though this is like some type of shot or way of coming at the Philadelphia Eagles, a way to bring the Eagles down. But I'm not gonna try to go that far. But all of that stuff he just said right there is nonsense. As far as this ain't gonna be enough to get it done. All of that is nonsense, which I'll get into in a minute.
And he don't get away with saying it was really perfume. You understand? Because you're always looking at him and you see a guy that has cryptically, indirectly alluded to his being unhappy. But I think this has taken another step because his comments about the Eagles offense, it was on a Twitch stream, calling his life outside of his family a quote-unquote shit show. That's what he said. Brown, Sirianni, and Hurts all responded to the comments about what's going on in Philadelphia with A.J. Brown, et cetera, et cetera. But A.J. Brown ultimately was going to be cornered by the Philadelphia media contingent. And sure enough, he had a lot to say. And he didn't back down at all. Listen to what A.J. Brown for the Philadelphia Eagles had to say.
It's not just solely about my situation. I mean, guys, like, obviously I want to win too. You And I think if we're really focusing on winning and doing our job, like we can't just keep slapping the Band-Aid over the defense doing their job and getting us out of trouble. At what point are we going to pick up our slack as an offense that we're so great, and that's what I'm getting at. I don't care if I'm misunderstood. Like, I stand up in front of it and fall on that sword over and over again. Like, it's about doing what we're supposed to be doing on offense. And if we are really in this business, we're trying to get better, we got to do what we got to do. And not just say, oh, it's about wins. So like, as long as we got the win, it's cool. No, that ain't what, no, you cannot do that. Not in this league.
All right, first of all, that's bullshit. Okay, but all right, let's go to the deeper thing of what's going on. All right, there's apparently two different philosophies going on within the Eagles locker room. All right, there's Jalen Hurts, and then I will add to that Saquon Barkley because of things I've heard them say. All right, Jalen Hurts is the main thing guy, get the wins type of guy, and everything gonna be all right. Everybody gonna get paid. Ain't nobody gonna be getting fired. We're gonna get chips. All of those types of things. Jalen Hurts is able to see the whole forest from the trees. Right? He's able to look at the whole entire forest and see that at the end of the day, the way you get that guy in the who owns the team, Jeffrey Lurie, happy. And the way you get him to go into his pockets is by winning, right? A.J. Brown is unable to see the forest from the trees. Now, all of y'all who want to sit here and act like you agree with A.J. and all that, because this is getting real popular right now, that what we do is, we take the little baby who's crying and we baby the baby, right? And instead of telling him to grow his ass up, right, man up, and deal with a situation that's requiring a little bit of patience. Okay? A.J. Brown is talking about the offense after the game against the Packers. Okay, that's fine, right? You know that before the bye there was a game against the Giants. How many points the Eagles put up in that game against the Giants? Was it 30? At least 30, right? 38 maybe? Okay. Then before that, what? Was a game against who? The Vikings, right? Where Jalen Hurts passes a perfect rating. Both A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are over 100 yards receiving in that game. Okay? Perfect passer rating. 4 touchdowns in that game? Or 3? Or something like that? 2 to A.J. Brown? Okay, would he had a problem with that Viking game? Perfect passer rating. Did you have a problem with that game, AJ? Okay. What about before that? The Eagles we played, I think we may have lost the game before that to the Giants and Denver. You had those couple of losses, right? But prior to that, if you just look at the passing game on the team has actually been improving ever since like the earlier in the season, right? That's number one. Number two, the most important thing is winning these football games. What you're not factoring in is the strength of opponent. If A.J. Brown believes that with this particular schedule the Eagles have, that you're supposed to go out there and average 400, 500 yards a game, despite the opponent, don't matter who you playing. He's stupid. He's stupid. Or he's unrealistic. He's unrealistic. And this idea that you can't, this ain't going to cut it. How do you know what's going to cut what? What is going to cut what? How do you know? He knows better than that. He knows that we'll see when we get out there and play each other. We'll see when we get out there and play each other. Because this game is a game of matchups. Right? This assumption that because you scored 10 points against the Packers, that means you're going to score 10 points next week and the week after? What are you just going to ignore all the other points you were scoring the weeks before leading up to the Packer game? And you're going to be an ungrateful little bitch and look at the fact that you won the Packer game? What would you rather be? Would you rather be the Packers that scored a 7 and they had the 10? Like, what are we talking about?
Okay, so you're looking for a new credit card, but you know that applying could hurt your credit score. Where do you go?
That ain't no.
Who says you can't say because we won, that's enough? Who says that? This is a dumb statement. It's not smart. It's not a smart statement, y'all. It's really not. Like, what you're showing is that you're just ungrateful. Sometimes each game is its own story. Sometimes you're going to have a defensive game. And then his other narrative, which says that the defense bailed us. The defense hasn't been bailing the team out at all this year. The defense is ranked 18th in the league. This defense hasn't been bailing anybody out. It's bullshit. A.J. Brown is upset about his numbers, period. All of that other stuff is bullshit. Because he knows if he talks about his numbers, then people will just give no validity to what he's saying. And that's the truth.
You cannot do that. Not in this league.
Ladies and gentlemen, he ain't wrong.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong.
I mean, we call it any way we want to. Even though the Eagles are like 7-2, you can't look at the Eagles with a straight face and say what you're seeing from them offensively couldn't come back to bite them come playoff times, considering the level of competition that exists within the NFC conference. You can't do that. You can't do that.
Oh, my God. His statement, listen, any of y'all who are deceived by this statement, you're not using your brain. All the Eagles have been doing all year, with the exception of Dallas and the Giants game, is playing playoff caliber teams. We just beat the Packers. Just beat the Vikings. What are we talking about? And most people, even Stephen A. Smith, is picking us to beat. Like for example, if we're having problems at 7-2, oh my God, we're number one. What problems are they having? Are our problems bigger than theirs? Like, let's be for real. Like, is any team perfect? No. But the goal is to be playing your best football going into the playoffs. Even if you were playing your best football right now, what the hell does that got to do with, right? Like, you got to think about it. We played 9 games with 8 to go. What would it matter if you were playing your best football right now? If you might possibly fall off later. It doesn't matter. Win these games. The goal is to be playing your best football going into the playoffs. That's the way that works. So what is all of this? All of this is a bunch of nothing. Bunch of hoorah right now to cause a bunch of drama because it's something that people love. People love this stuff, man. They love drama. They love this more so. We haven't even seen enough, with the exception of maybe NFL Live and a couple of those, channels that are more, I would say, reliable. We haven't seen enough talk about the matchups between the defensive line of the Eagles versus the Lions' offensive line and vice versa, their line against ours. We could talk about Eden Hutchinson versus Lane Johnson. We could talk about Quinyon Mitchell versus Amon-Ra St. Brown. We could talk about Saquon Barkley versus Jahmyr Gibbs. There's so many narratives we could talk about here, but instead, what are we doing? We're talking about A.J. fucking Brown, who is acting like a little girl. And that's what it is. Why are you changing your position? Oh, yeah, maybe A.J. is right. Right about what? Right about what? He probably sat out the Giants game on purpose so that we could lead, so that we could lose, and then he could say, aha, that didn't work. Ended up scoring more points in that game. That's actually the game he should have played in, because those are the times when you get to bump your stats up. When you play the bums. When you play great defenses, those aren't the times more than likely when you're going to get your stats all crazy. Like, am I in the twilight zone right now?
That. Now, to be as accurate as we can possibly be, when you're looking at the Eagles, okay, Saquon Barkley ain't running the football nearly as effectively. Okay, Devontae Smith has emerged as a top 10 receiver in this league. Don't get it twisted. He has. Okay, Dallas Goedert is still there. The Eagles' offensive line isn't trash. Jalen Hurts, there have been some questions about him, even though there shouldn't be. He's the reigning Super Bowl champion and Super Bowl MVP. But
there should not be any questions about Jalen Hurts right now. He is playing the best quarterback. He's playing top 3 quarterback in the league right now. And he would be actually I'm telling you right now, the narrative for the Philadelphia Eagles right now would be Jalen Hurts' MVP season. Were it not for A.J. Brown. This is the truth. This is the truth. The reason Jalen Hurts is not being talked about right now in the media and set up as a possible MVP run. Because forget all the numbers. No, his numbers are good. Look at who he's defeating. Patrick Mahomes already. Dak Prescott a little bum behind, but they put him in there. Defeated Dak Prescott. Defeated Patrick Mahomes. Defeated Baker Mayfield. Defeated the guy Patrick defeated Stafford. Right? The Vikings had Carson Wentz, whatever. And just defeated Jordan Love with Jared Goff to come up. Just look at this. We got Jared Goff next. We beat him. Then we got the Bears next. Let's say we beat them. And then there's Buffalo looming. If Jalen Hurts and the Eagles could somehow win those games, then we will be talking about an MVP season for Jalen Hurts because of the strength of schedule the teams we're beating. The reason we're not talking about that is because his so-called friend, who's not a friend at all, A.J. Brown, is undermining everything. He's undermining the whole entire season. Okay? And if I'm Jalen Hurts, I would never forgive him for it. You are 7-2, you little bitch. What are you talking about? You are number 1 seed. If the playoffs stop right now, everyone would have to come into Philadelphia, and there's not a team that any of you is going to pick to beat the Eagles. Listen again. This is the NFC playoff standings. Eagles are number 1. That means right now, if the playoffs started, and this is with A.J. Brown bitching, if the playoffs started right now, everyone has to come through Philadelphia. You had to come through Philadelphia. And who are you picking to beat the Eagles in Philadelphia? Seahawks? Lions? Bucks? Rams? Bears? Packers? 49ers? Who? Maybe you're crazy enough to pick the Rams, something like that. But I bet you're the favorite to beat the Eagles. And that's the bottom line. That's why what A.J. Brown talking about is bullshit.
There have been many, many occasions when the Eagles and the Eagles faithful were questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts could really fling that football as a passer. We have seen that happen before, so let's get that out the way first. Second,
yeah, those are stupid-ass people, right? They ain't gonna lie. There's some dumb-ass Eagle fans who really are a bunch of followers who listen to WIP. They listen to guys like Joe DeCamera. They listen to guys like Joe Giglio. And they follow those guys, okay? But anyone who uses their own brain should not be questioning whether or not Jalen Hurts can throw the ball. That's a stupid thing. You shouldn't be there. You're stupid if you're doing that. Like, we're past that. We don't give $50 million contracts to guys who can't pass the ball. Guys who can't pass the ball don't go to the Super Bowl twice. It's stupid.
Secondly, the Eagles started 2-2 last year, and they proceeded to win. Going into this, even into this season, like 16 of their next 17 games under Nick Sirianni. Okay? And they ran the football more than anybody, and they threw it less than anybody. So if you got faith in your quarterback, obviously you're throwing the football more, one would surmise. That could be what?
No, not necessarily. Right? That doesn't mean that. That means you have a style of play. You use the run to set up the pass. You use the run to beat up on the defense. You use the run to wear them down. There's a number of reasons you use the run. You're not necessarily running a whole lot and pass. And who cares if you're running and passing less than others, right? See, he doesn't know how to use the stats. He's looking at the number of runs and the number of passes, right? All of these are predicated based on whether or not you're running a hurry-up type of offense, whether or not you're purposely running the clock down. Sometimes when the Eagles are playing ball control, they're purposely hiking the ball at around 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, 1, right? Some teams are playing up-tempo, which is going to be more plays. Sometimes the Eagles play up-tempo. It's not really about whether you trust your quarterback or not. That's narrative crap.
A.J. Brown is alluding to some degree as well, so we can't ignore that, okay? But now we go into some data where you look at the Eagles' offensive rankings since Sirianni became head coach in 2021. In 2021, they were 14th in total offense, 12th in scoring offense. In 2022, they were 3 in both.
All right, so 2021, you're 14th and made the playoffs and got blown out by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Both categories. In 2023, they were 8th in total offense, 7th in scoring offense. Last year, they were 8th in total offense, 7th in scoring offense. This year, they're 23 in total offense and 12th in scoring offense. They're 10th in the NFL in rush attempts. They're 30th out of 32 teams in the NFL in pass attempts. They're 27th on third down offense. Although they're the number 1 rated red zone efficient offense because obviously the tush push. Third downs Monday.
That's a lie. That's a fucking lie. Jalen Hurts has 4 tush push touchdowns and 16 touchdowns passing the ball. So that's a lie. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay? And our red zone efficiency is just because it's just that good. Okay? Jalen Hurts has 5 rushing touchdowns. And they're not all, and all those aren't tush pushes. About 2 or 3 are tush pushes. So that's a lie. And you notice what he did there. What's important is your 12th in scoring offense. Doesn't matter the attempts. Doesn't even matter the yards. What matters is your scoring efficiency and scoring offense. That's what matters.
The Philadelphia Eagles were 7-16 against Green Bay. Had a couple of more 3-and-outs. 29 3-and-out drives, resulting in punts this season. That's the Philadelphia Eagles, which ranks the second most in the NFL behind only the Denver Broncos. And we all know how putrid their offense has been seen as being over the last several weeks. But it gets even deeper when you look at A.J. Brown directly. Eagles offensive plays combined last 2.
All of this is a joke because you're talking about a team that is 7-2 with the hardest schedule in the league. 7-2 with the most difficult schedule in the league. All of your little favorite teams, your little Seattles and your little Detroits, they would not be 7-2 with this damn schedule. I promise you. I promise you they wouldn't be. None of those teams that y'all love would be 7-2 with this schedule. And that's the bottom line.
Seasons. Pass attempts, 26.5, fewest in the NFL. Rush attempts per game, 33.6, most in the NFL. Just like I said earlier. Let's get to A.J. Brown, who was caught 2 of his 3 targets for just 13 yards on Monday night. Remember when I saw you, when they went for it on 4th down, and Jalen Hurts threw it up there, and A.J. Brown gave a half-ass effort, in my estimation? I love the brother. I ain't got nothing bad to say about him. But that particular play, he looked like he didn't even try that hard. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. He was lobbing up there, try to go get it. It did seem to be the case with A.J. Brown on that particular play. Overall, was targeted twice by the Eagles on their opening drive, and then after that, did not see a target again until the final minute of the game. You're a wide receiver, and you don't see a target from the first quarter until the final play of the game. You know how many minutes went by before you were a target last time? You think that doesn't affect him? You think it doesn't? Of course it does.
Of course it does, and I don't give a shit.
All right? And since 2022, since joining the team in 2022, the Eagles are 22-3. That's 88% of their wins. 88% winning percentage, rather. When A.J. Brown has at least 1 touchdown catch, including the postseason. When he has a touchdown catch, they don't usually lose. They're 22-3. But if you look at him, we got to sit up there and be fair to him and at least say...
Eagles don't usually lose anyway. Eagles don't usually lose anyway. Like, what are you talking about? They don't usually lose when A.J. Brown catches a pass. Eagles don't usually lose anyway. Like, what are we talking about?
Stupid He's justified in being upset. Average yards per... catch per game. 3.9. Fewer since his rookie season. He's averaging a career low 51 receiving yards per game. He's averaging a career low 13.2 yards per reception. He's averaging a career low, a career worst, 57% catch rate. Think about that. And when you look at him, his first 3 seasons, NFL wide receiver, A.J. Brown, the wide receiver, his first 3 seasons, He ranked 9th in targets, 10th in receptions, 4th in receiving yards, 7th in TD catches. As a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles this year, he's 34th in targets. He's 40th in receptions. Ladies and gentlemen, there's only 32 teams. How you 34 in targets? There's only 32 teams. How are you 40th in receptions? There's only 32 teams. How are you 38 in receiving yards? There's only 32 teams.
Oh, poor AJ. Poor AJ.
How are you tied for 30th in TD receptions? Targets are down from 8.5 to 6.8 this year from what it did the previous 3 years. Catches are down from 5.6 to 3.9 this year. Yards per game from the last 3 seasons was 86 yards per game. He is now down to 51. Of course the brother ain't happy. Should he be?
Yeah, the team is 7-2. He has an opportunity to win the second Super Bowl straight. So he should be happy, yeah. We got 8 games to go. Focus on getting some more catches in them games. Get with Jalen Hurts. I'm like, hey, look, Jay, maybe we can go run some extra, after work. Maybe we can get some work in, run some routes, get our chemistry right. Maybe you should do those things instead of acting like a bitch. I don't know, just a suggestion.
Remains to be seen. And then there's something very, very powerful I want to throw at y'all. Because this is incredibly telling. And it has to be said, so I'm going to say it. And again, I got nothing but love for A.J. Brown. And we want to look at him and we want to say he has every right to feel the way that he feels. And he's definitely frustrated. And he's thinking about the team. And he's thinking about what it takes to win. And all of that stuff is true. Ladies and gentlemen, that is until I was reminded of a quote that A.J. Brown gave just a couple of days after the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, blowing out the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to read this quote to y'all. This is a very, very damning quote from A.J. Brown, in my estimation. And I'm going to read it to y'all. Remember, they won the Super Bowl. They blew out the Kansas City Chiefs. He had 3 catches for 43 yards and 1 touchdown in the Super Bowl. This was A.J. Brown's quote on Instagram in February after the Super Bowl. Listen to this quote. After a few days, I've had time to reflect on being a champion. I tried to feel how everyone made it seem to be a champion. And unfortunately, it was short-lived. 2 days to be exact. Laugh out loud. I've never been a champion at the highest level before, but I thought my hard work would be justified by winning it all. It wasn't. My thrill for this game comes when I dominate. It's the hunt that does it for me. It's when the DB drops his head and surrenders because he can't F with me. The intense battles, early mornings, late nights, sacrifices. I love putting smiles on people's faces. Don't get me wrong, but it just wasn't what I thought it would be. It's the journey that I love the most. Back to work.
This fall, heel pain and sore arches won't stop you. Hand-stitched leather boots deliver.
Back to work.
All right, so y'all see it right there. Everything that Stephen A. Smith just built up in this whole talk leading up to this point, he just picked apart by quoting A.J. Brown. That quote from A.J. Brown just summed it all up. That for him, it's about him. It's about his personal gratification, whether that comes in numbers, whether that comes through his involvement, whether that comes through him dominating cornerbacks, whatever it is. That's about him. It's about his personal thing. It's about him. It just shows he's a guy that should have been a boxer, or he should have been a tennis player, or he should have been a guy that played a sport where it's an individual sport. Should have been a swimmer. But in football, it's a team sport. It's a team sport, man. You got someone other than you drawing up the play. You got someone other than you got to rely on to block. You got someone other than you rely on to scan the field. You got someone other than you rely on to throw you the pass. Like, there's so many things that comes with football. Football just isn't a sport for him, though he's great at it. But it's not going to get him fulfillment because it's a team sport and it's never going to be just about you. You'll have those games and those moments where you're the man, like that game against Tennessee, where you went out there and Hurts made sure you got you 3 touchdowns or whatever it was, and then the game against the Steelers, where you got you 3 touchdowns, right? What amazes me, though, is he don't act like he concerned about Devontae Smith when that happens. He cool with that. He cool with, I'm going to go out here and get 3 touchdowns, and if Devontae gets something good, if he don't, fuck him. And that's the thing about AJ, man. At the end of the day, like I've been telling y'all, don't feed into this nonsense. Don't feed into none of that. By his own admission, for AJ Brown, what makes him happy is him getting his personal stats and him personally defeating the cornerback is fine. And if these are things you care about as a fan, that's good for you. I don't care about it. I don't care. All I care about is wins and Lombardis. Flash speaks. I'm out.